Thank you very much. My dear brother, thank you very much for your visit, for this third Joint Permanent Commission on Cooperation. Dear media partners, good afternoon. It is a pleasure to be here today alongside my brother, Honorable Professor Dr. Amon Murwira, Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Trade of the Republic of Zimbabwe, for the ministerial session of the third Rwanda-Zimbabwe Joint Permanent Commission on Cooperation. Today's session was an opportunity to deepen our dialogue and advance our growing partnership with one of Rwanda's key partners in the Southern African region, especially in the areas of trade, investment, and development. You may recall that in March last year, Rwanda hosted the third Rwanda-Zimbabwe Business Forum, where companies from both countries explored opportunities to expand their presence in each other's markets. This kind of engagement is exactly what we are aiming to sustain and grow. I'm pleased to report that we will sign 5 new agreements today in the fields of health, youth affairs, police cooperation, the exchange of customs information, and the MOU on energy. We also reviewed the implementation of past agreements, and I'm happy to note that things are moving in the right direction. For instance, in the education sector, 154 Zimbabwean education professionals have been employed in Rwanda since October 2022, a concrete example of how our cooperation delivers real results for our citizens. On multilateral and regional matters, Rwanda has consistently called for the lifting of sanctions imposed on Zimbabwe by some Western countries. Rwanda also supports the return of Zimbabwe in the Commonwealth family, and we believe that this is long overdue and a matter of principle. Rwanda and Zimbabwe share common aspirations for an integrated, prosperous, and secure Africa. In this regard, we commend Zimbabwe for its leadership of the Southern African Development Community, SADC, particularly in advancing joint efforts to help resolve the conflict in Eastern DRC. Last week, I was in Nairobi with my brother to discuss just this at a joint EAC SADC co-chairs meeting. Rwanda remains ready to support any and all efforts aimed at genuinely bringing peace in our region. In particular, we share the belief that African-led processes can contribute meaningfully to a long-term solution. In closing, it is our hope that the Rwanda-Zimbabwe ties continue to grow stronger with time. We are grateful to their excellencies, President Paul Kagame and President Emerson Dambuzo Mnangagwa, for their guidance and support in realizing this shared vision. Thank you. I return to you, brother.
Thank you very much, my dear brother. We are very excited and privileged to be in the Republic of Rwanda, in Kigali, to map our way forward for deeper cooperation between our two sisterly republics. We are concluding a lot of MOUs, and basically these MOUs are aimed at practical cooperation between the Republic of Rwanda and the Republic of Zimbabwe, with the common aspiration of making sure that our people lead prosperous, happy, and fulfilling lives through the efforts of our governments. And as my brother said, we are very thankful to the leadership provided by His Excellency President Paul Kagame of the Republic of Rwanda and President Emerson Dambuzo Mnangagwa, President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, in their leadership to make sure that these two sisterly republics lead the renaissance of Africa, participate in the renaissance of Africa, of a united people who are encouraging peace so that economic development can take place, so that our people lead happy and fulfilling lives after the era of humiliating colonization and all its attendant tragedies. Rwanda is an example of a country that can rise from all negatives and move towards the positive, and Zimbabwe also has to learn from this. We also had our troubles with colonialism, our troubles which are associated with destabilization, as my brother has said, including economic sanctions imposed on us due to our land reform program meant to restore dignity to our people. So we really share a lot in common. We are just now being practical in lifting the lives of our people from poverty to prosperity. And we are really happy to be here in the Republic of Rwanda, in Kigali, a place of hope and progress. I thank you, Reverend.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Ministers. Thank you for your remarks. We can take a couple of questions. Maybe you can start by RBA.
Thank you. I'm called Bosco from RBA. It has been mentioned by both of you about His Excellency President Paul Kagame's role in advocating for the West to drop sanctions against Zimbabwe. How significant has it been for Zimbabwe? Murakoze nyakubahwa Minister, nagira mbabaze mu Kinyarwanda yenda bimwe abisobanura ariko bagira ngo aya masezerano y'inama ibaye ku nshuro ya gatatu ariko hari ya mbere n'iya kabiri. Ni ibiki mwishimira byagezweho muri izo nama zombi uko ari ebyiri zatambutse? Murakoze.
Honorable Ministers.
Yes. Thank you for that question. President Paul Kagame is an African leader of repute. Therefore, his words are very important, and his support in the cause of justice are very important. In this regard, the issue of lifting sanctions on Zimbabwe, the call by President Kagame is a huge call. And you would know that on the African continent, through the AU, this resolution has actually been adopted. And through the support of leaders such as President Paul Kagame, and you would know that at the United Nations, there has now also been a resolution for the world to rally against illegal sanctions. I think in December 2 or some date in December has been designated for this. This is a result of calls that are in the form of the call by President Paul Kagame in making sure that we stand and execute justice in the world. As I said, Rwanda is an example of a country that is able to stand against adversity and advocate for peaceful resolutions and justice in many spheres. And the field of sanctions is one such a field, an area.
Thank you very much. First of all, before going to your question, I believe that we are African countries that want to develop ourselves, to trade among ourselves, in order to be prosperous, to lift our populations out of poverty, to be self-reliant. And we believe that the time of sanctions by Western countries is over. Having those countries imposing those kind of sanctions is a bit disrespectful, because we are in development cooperation with many countries, with the developed countries. They give us aid for specific projects, and we implement those projects, and we are accountable for them. So it's not right to politicize that kind of cooperation. we can be held accountable as African countries on how we use that aid, that money. But politicizing aid, it's not acceptable. And we hope that for the future, our partners from the West will understand it. It's important to build our relations with mutual respect. This is why Rwanda has been supporting the lifting of those illegal sanctions against Zimbabwe. Ku kibazo cyawe, and I hope that you will translate in English. So ni inama ya gatatu y'iyi komisiyo ya JPCC ibaye, indi zaba mu myaka ibiri muri Zimbabwe, kuko ziba buri myaka ibiri, ariko umwaka utaha hazaba inama y'impuguke z'ibihugu byombi kugira ngo turebe aho tugeze dushyira mu bikorwa ibyo twiyemeje. Ubu rero tumaze gusinya amasezerano menshi na Zimbabwe, ngira ngo nko kuri 25 mu burezi, mu bucuruzi, mu byerekeye ingufu. Haraba za delegation z'ubucuruzi za Zimbabwe ziza hano mu Rwanda, hari z'u Rwanda zagiye muri Zimbabwe. Bivuze ko dushaka gucuruzanya, kohereza ibicuruzwa mu bihugu byombi kugira ngo tuzamure ubukungu bwa Zimbabwe n'u Rwanda. Ariko hari n'umushinga ngira ngo mwumvise nanavuze na mbere w'abarimu bo muri Zimbabwe bagera ku 154 bamaze gutangira akazi mu mashuri yo mu Rwanda kuva mu Kwakira 2022. Ngira ngo ni igikorwa cyiza cy'ubufatanye hagati y'ibihugu byombi mu byerekeye uburezi. Hari n'iby'ingufu, ubufatanye mu byerekeye ingufu hagati y'ibihugu byombi, cyane cyane hagati y'igihugu gishinzwe ingufu REG cya hano mu Rwanda ndetse n'igihugu cyo muri Zimbabwe cyitwa ZESA nacyo gishinzwe iby'ingufu. Hari ibyo gukorana mu mishinga yo gushyira amatara ku mihanda, gushyira imiyoboro y'amashanyarazi ndetse n'ibikoresho by'ikoranabuhanga. Ibyo ni ibikorwa bifatika bigaragaza yuko twebwe u Rwanda na Zimbabwe icyo twifuza ni ugufatanya mu bikorwa biteza imbere ubukungu, biteza imbere ibikorwa remezo, biteza imbere imibereho myiza y'abaturage b'ibihugu byombi. Kandi tuzakomeza kubikora kuko no muri inama twasanze ko bitanga umusaruro. Turimo tugana heza, n'inama zikurikira tukaba tuzareba n'izindi secteur twafatanyamo kugira ngo dukomeze duteze imbere umubano n'ubutwererane hagati y'ibihugu byombi. Murakoze.
Honorable Minister, I'll try to translate it very quickly. So the question that was asked to Honorable Minister was about this JPC and what tangible result it brings to both the people of Zimbabwe and Rwanda. Minister added that he explained that this JPC is the third one that we had. The fourth one is going to take place in Zimbabwe with a mid-year review next year. He also expanded that Rwanda and Zimbabwe have already signed 25 agreements, and this JPC is also a platform through which we can follow up on the implementation of those agreements. He added that our cooperation has had concrete impacts, especially in the energy and education sector, where he expanded a bit more on what we do in both of those sectors. Thank you.
Yes.
We can proceed maybe with Igihe. Yes?
Thank you. My name is John. I'm journalist at igihe.com. I want to ask Minister in Kinyarwanda. Murakoze nyakubahwa Minister. Zimbabwe yagaragaje ko hari amahirwe menshi y'imikoranire hagati yayo n'u Rwanda, by'umwihariko mu bijyanye n'ubucukuzi bw'amabuye y'agaciro. Haba hari intambwe iri guterwa wenda kugira ngo ayo mahirwe abyazwe umusaruro. Murakoze.
Murakoze. Mbere na mbere urwo rurimi murambazamo n'ururimi rwe ararwumva. I was saying that they're asking questions in Kinyarwanda, but it's also a language, Kinyarwanda.
Oh, yeah.
Because our languages are similar.
Yes.
Nibyo koko Zimbabwe ni igihugu gikize mu mabuye y'agaciro. Nicyo Minisitiri atubwiraga ko kiri mu bihugu ku isi bifite amabuye y'agaciro menshi y'ubwoko butandukanye burenga 60. Natwe nk'uko mubizi muri aka karere nako hari amabuye y'agaciro menshi kandi ari mu masezerano turimo tuganiraho. Hari amasezerano ajyanye no kubyaza umusaruro amabuye y'agaciro. Ngira ngo turimo turabiganiraho. Iyi komisiyo nibyo yakoze. Hari na za komite zishinzwe ishyirwa mu bikorwa, joint implementation committees, kuri buri masezerano cyangwa se kuri buri mushinga w'amasezerano twashyizeho umukono cyangwa tuzashyiraho umukono, azatuma noneho nabyo tubishyira mu bikorwa, cyane cyane ko hagati y'ama JPCs abiri hari inama yo kugenzura aho tuzaba tugeze. Ngira ngo cooperation mu byerekeye guteza imbere amabuye y'agaciro ndetse na cooperation mu bindi byose bijyanye n'ubukungu, bijyanye n'ubucuruzi, bijyanye n'ingufu, nibyo dushyiramo ingufu kugira ngo ibihugu byacu byombi bibyaze umusaruro amahirwe menshi dufite yo kwiteza imbere nk'ibihugu bya Afurika bifite ubushake kandi bifite ubushobozi bwo kuzahura ubukungu bw'ibihugu byacu. Murakoze.
Quickly, Minister, our media partner from Media asked the Minister about cooperation between the two countries, but especially in terms of mining. Minister explained that, as you stated earlier, Zimbabwe has rich mineral resources, including more than 60 different minerals present on the country, with critical minerals as well. Minister said that it's one of the sectors that we have identified for cooperation, and that as African countries that want to develop themselves in a sustainable and independent manner, we shall continue to work together on this.
You can also, if you want to address this question.
Yeah.
You can address this.
Yeah. Because I think it's very important that we envisage what development is. Development is when people can find enough food, enough shelter, enough means of communication, including movement, enough water, and health. But all these things are based on the resource base. But the resource base, when we apply our minds to it. So, in the area of industrialization, which is the process of producing these goods and services, for making sure that people have got happy, prosperous, and fulfilling lives, minerals are some of the most important components of these kinds of raw materials. And Zimbabwe happens to be one of the countries in Africa with a lot of these minerals. And as I said before, we did not invent them. We found them on our way from Rwanda as we were going south. And we happened to settle there. But what is very important is that if we cooperate in the area of minerals, mineral mining, exploration, mining, and value addition of these minerals, that makes what the world what it is. That's what makes development possible. In actual fact, you are standing on minerals, we are having shelter from minerals, I am talking through minerals. So basically this area is a very important area of cooperation. I'm writing using minerals, these are all minerals. So it is very important to contextualize development and cooperation in useful things like minerals, like in agriculture, like in all sorts of areas that we are talking about. But here we are talking about minerals. So it's a very, 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 very important area of cooperation. Murakos.
Much, Minister. Maybe we can take a last question from one of our guests from Zimbabwe. I think ZBC is in the room. Mr. Faustin.
Good morning, honorable ministers. I'm Foster from Zimbabwe. I've got two questions to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Rwanda. What are your views on the role of Zimbabwean professionals currently working in Rwanda? And the other one is, we have seen collaboration in education skills development. Are there plans to expand this to include innovation and research? As well, is there potential for cooperation between Rwanda's innovation ecosystem and Zimbabwe's university innovation hubs? Because in Zimbabwe we say a country is built by its own people. And if our youth are engaged with everything that we are doing, I think we'll go far.
Thank you very much. I think there is an important community of the Zimbabweans here in Rwanda. I think there are 250, Ambassador? Yes. Around 250, yes, including professionals, including the teachers that we're talking about, who are doing an excellent job here in Rwanda, and the government of Rwanda is satisfied by the job they are doing in our education sector. And actually, we are even discussing on how we can improve their well-being by ensuring that the social security benefits that they used to have in Zimbabwe are also maintained here in Rwanda. So this is one of the discussions that we had, but we are really extremely satisfied by the job they are doing in our education system. And on innovation and cooperation in that sector, I think it's also important. I'm standing beside the former Minister of Higher Education and Innovation, and we have also discussed on how to cooperate. There is also a draft MOUs that has been discussed in that area. The minister had proposed to have a cooperation, having Rwandans, students going to Zimbabwe, to universities, for higher education, innovation, research. And it's important that this education sector, innovation sector, is also promoted, because when we talk about South-South cooperation, when we talk about building our countries through science and knowledge, I think you even have a sentence in Zimbabwe, how a country is built by its own citizen. I think this is what we believe in. So, we live in a world that is rapidly changing, artificial intelligence, science, technology, and we will work together with Zimbabwe to see how the two countries can benefit. Students of Rwanda can go to study in Zimbabwe and vice versa. So it's an important cooperation that we'll pursue. Microphone, please. I will understand. Huh?
Yeah.
I understand the question.
Honorable Professor Dr. Murwira, tikona Rwanda ne Zimbabwe ukama watu kuchikidzana mu Second Republic yedu inotungamirwa na President Idi Mnangagwa pamwe chete neshamwari yawo yekuno ku Rwanda. Ukama wedu kusimbaradzwa chaizvo. Mukatsananguro here kuti chichi yatiri kuita kuti tikwanise kuvandudza upenyu hwevanhu venyika mbiri idzi.
Ndatenda. President Paul Kagame na President Mnangagwa vane chinangwa chakafanana, chinangwa chokuita kuti vanhu vedu vagare zvakanaka. Asi kuti vanhu vedu vagare zvakanaka, panofana kuva nerunyararo, uye panofana kuva nokuvakiwa kwenyika. Nyika inovakwa nevene vayo. Ndakafamba nezuro tikaona genocide memorial yakavakwa muRwanda inotaridza nhoroondo yekwavakabva nepavari nekwavari kuenda. Zvinotaridza kuti nyika ino inyika inogona kusimuka ichisimudzwa nevene vayo ichiinda mberi. Ndiwozve muono una President Mnangagwa wokuona kuti nyika inovakwazve nevene vayo, tichifamba tichienda. President Mnangagwa na President Kagame vatungamiriri vanoziva kuti Africa inotungamirirwa nevaridzi vayo nevene vayo. Saka ndinoona ukama hwedu hwakadzama chaizvo nokuti iko zvino tiri kuchinjana maticha kana kuti vadzidzisi vari kudzidzisa muno, uye tiri kuda kushandazve panyaya dzenjere dze-innovation kuti tishande kuti tikwanise kuvandudza upenyu hwavanhu vedu. Saka tinoona ukama hwedu isu neRwanda huchisimbaradzwa tichiinda mberi. Tiri kushanda mapato akasiyana siyana, maareas akasiyana siyana senyika mbiri idzi. Saka nhasi chaiye tiri kuita musangano wedu, ende taita musangano wedu wakanaka tiine zvisungo zvishanu zvinosanganisira kushanda kwakanaka kwamapurisa, mapurisa edu achishanda zvakanaka, kushanda kwakanaka kwezimura neRevenue Authority yeRwanda nemamwe akasiyana kudaro izvi. Saka tinoona ukama hwedu kuchiramba huchisimba, tichiramba tichikusimbaradza, tinoshanda zvakanaka chaizvo. Tinosangana mwaka miviri, twapera mwaka miviri tinosangana. Wanzwa vachitaura neKinyarwanda kuti mwaka muviri, after 2 years tinosangana tichiita misangano yedu yakanaka kudaro. Nokuti kuno vanoti mvura futi neKinyarwanda mvura, isu tinoti mvura. Saka tiri vanhu vamwe chete vanofana kushanda pamwe chete. Tatenda. Mirakasi.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Unfortunately, I won't be able to translate that segment. But with your authorization, Ministers, I think we can conclude this short presser. And I thank again our media partners for coming. And if you have any other questions or clarifications, please feel free to reach out. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So I was translating because